Hey everyone, my guest today is Dr. Zafra Lerman, a world renowned chemist, educator, and peace builder who has pioneered the use of science diplomacy to foster dialogue and collaboration in the world's most volatile regions. As founder and president of the Malta Conferences Foundation, she brings together scientists from countries in conflict, including Israel, Palestine, Iran, Iraq, and others across the Middle East, to work side by side on scientific challenges that transcend borders, from water scarcity to nuclear proliferation. Beyond diplomacy, Dr. Lerman has spent decades fighting for human rights, advocating for persecuted scientists in the Soviet Union and China, including risking her own safety by venturing after midnight through dark alleys in Moscow to meet dissidents. She also developed groundbreaking methods to teach science through the arts, reaching underprivileged students, including homeless youth and incarcerated individuals, by making chemistry accessible through music, dance, and visual storytelling. Her work has been recognized globally, including multiple Nobel Peace Prize nominations, the U.S. Presidential Award for Mentoring Minorities in Science presented by President Bill Clinton, and the prestigious Andrei Sakharov Award for Human Rights from the American Physical Society. She has also been honored by UNESCO, the U.S. State Department, and leading peace and science organizations worldwide. Welcome, Dr. Lerman. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
As you heard, my name is Zafra Lerman. I'm a scientist. I have a PhD, so I'm Dr. Zafra Lerman or Professor Zafra Lerman, if you want. My PhD is in chemistry, but I used my science to make the planet a better place for everybody. So my book, that is titled Human Rights and Peace, A Personal Odyssey, and it's now in paperback on Amazon. It's on paperback, so you can see the title. And it's really a book written for everybody. It described my growing up in a developing country without a hot shower, without a lot of things that people in the US take for granted. But I was a high society. I grew up in Israel. And my father was a pioneer, and I had probably the happiest childhood somebody can have, because I did not have my mother waiting with an SUV when I came out from school to take me home and drive me for the next program she signed me up, because we didn't have SUVs, we didn't have any cars, and we didn't have any organized programs. So we children developed our programs. We developed our imagination, we developed our creativity, we developed our innovation. Because nobody prepared everything for us, and I think it was the greatest way to grow up. Even I feel sorry. I have a school next to me, and when I walk at 3 o'clock and I see all the mother, every child, the mother with an SUV and an engine running in summer for the air conditioning and in winter for the heat, and the child runs into the SUV, bangs, goes away till the next program the SUV will drive. And I remember that the biggest fun for us was to take the longest way you could find between school and home, so we can spend a lot of time together. And I'll continue. I knew I will be a scientist by the age of 2 already. I described a lot of things and a lot of questions. So this was not new to me. I knew this will be the path I will take. I describe it in my book. And then I went and got my bachelor, master, PhD, but I was already married and a child. So my son already attended all my 3 ceremonies, what was not easy to get a bachelor, master, PhD with a child, but possible, and a message for all the women that have children, that you can achieve everything you want. All what you need is to want it. I was for a period a single mom, And this is when I came to the States as a single mom with a child and no relatives, no money, nothing, but we make it. We
Yeah.
made it. It's true that a PhD is a big help, but even without PhD, if a woman wants, you can make it as a single mom. And all these stories about single mom cannot achieve, and all these stories are just nonsense. And in case you don't detect, I have a foreign accent, and it means by American terms, I was an immigrant, but there is a lot of pressure against. So I wanted to say that I'm an immigrant that contributed a lot to the country. And the book is a result of pressure to write really 3 books during my life, but I never had time to do it because I was too busy. In one of them, I discussed, after doing research for many years in fancy universities like Cornell, Northwestern in the US, the Swiss Polytechnicum in Switzerland, I, by myself, have a PhD from the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel that is considered for many years one of the best 10 research institutes in the world. Doesn't have undergraduate, it's only a graduate school. So after doing research in all these fancy places, I decided to change direction because I believe that science education is a human right that belongs to all. And I feel that we are leaving a lot of people out of understanding science and technology, of developing the critical thinking that science courses teach you. And then they are behind in the community. And my worry always is that we will form 2-class societies that are not divided by royalty, but divided by knowledge of science and technology. So I decided to teach people that would never come close to science. And I got an offer that I could not refuse from a college in Chicago called Columbia College, and it was a wonderful place till it was destroyed a few years ago. But before that, it was a college with vision, because the president that really built this college, his name was Mike Alexandrov, was a real visionary, a very progressive man, believed in equality for everybody. The school was open admission. So it was a school for art and communication, but he believed that students that could not afford a beautiful portfolio in art to go to a fancy art school should still pursue their dreams and talent. And he attracted to teach there the best and the brightest, because it was people that were not only outstanding in their field, they were outstanding in their contribution to society. And their purpose was to really give the students all what they can in order to make them successful. And it was very successful. I built a science institute from scratch that became very famous. We even got in 2004 the award as the best undergraduate program in all the independent universities and colleges, and it was a school for arts and communication. And what I did, I developed a method to teach science through art, music, dance, drama, poetry, rap, animation, anything a student wanted to use. And I assessed my students like that. My students did not write multiple choice tests. They could show me their knowledge if they wanted by singing a song that they did on the subject or a play that they did on the subject, like a group of theater students did a love story between sodium and chlorine to form table salt, and they followed Romeo and Juliet. And one music student wrote beautiful words about the depletion of the ozone layer, and he sang it, I have plenty of ozone, to the music of I have plenty of nothing. And wonderful projects came out. And my students are extremely successful in every field they had chosen. In Hollywood, I was invited to an Emmy Award when one of my students got it. But he said that his success is all the science classes that he took and the critical thinking that he learned and the way of thinking that got him ahead in animation. And therefore he got the Emmy Award. So this is one part where the book discussed. As a matter of fact, it was adopted all over the world and proved miracles with underprivileged students. I taught homeless students that went to college, two even got a PhD in biochemistry. I taught prisoners that became very successful. So it was a very successful method that brought me probably more than 40 international awards. In addition to all that, as I said, I believe that science education is a human rights. I believe in human rights. So I chaired for 26 years the Subcommittee on Scientific Freedom and Human Rights for the American Chemical Society. And with this committee, I went to the under this committee, I went to the Soviet Union. I met after midnight with dissidents. I took a crash course of Russian, so I did not need a translator that could be a KGB agent. And after midnight, I met with dissidents in dark alleys. I brought, this was illegal in the Soviet Union, I brought scientific material, it was illegal. And at 2:00 in the morning, I delivered a seminar to like 50 dissidents in a dark attic, illegal. And I took all their CVs back to work on their release. They were representative family of people that were in prison or in hard labor in Siberia. And then I worked very hard on the release. And it's a great pleasure to see people that have their freedom because you risk your own life for them. So I was under pressure for many years to write a book on the education. Then I was under pressure to write a book on human rights because after Tiananmen Square in China, I worked in China, I worked in Cuba, I worked in Peru, Guatemala, I worked in a lot of countries on human rights while being the head of the Science Institute and running an extremely successful, creative institute with a lot of grant money because we did things that nobody even dreamed on doing. We were really ahead of our time. And then after September 11, I suggested to my subcommittee on scientific freedom and human rights that we should concentrate in the Middle East. And I brought a proposal to the board of the American Chemical Society that I think the time came to organize a conference where scientists from all over the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, the Palestinians, all of them, with no exception, will participate, with several Nobel laureates for 5 days, and give them a forum to see what unites them instead of what separates them, to give them a forum to stop demonizing the unknown other, and to give them a forum to develop collaboration on issues that one country cannot solve alone, like air pollution, like the water issue. Water is a big issue in the Middle East. The arid land and the aqueducts are going through a lot of borders. They don't know the borders. The nature and the environment don't see borders. The astronauts don't see the borders too. They see the planet is one thing. And in 2003, it was the height of the Intifada. The Intifada was the uprising of the Palestinian, and they used a lot of suicide bombing in Israel. So every day in restaurants or buses, people were killed. And we ran our first conference, and all the people that we invited came. And the conference was held on the island of Malta because I believe that an island is safer than a mainland. So this was my idea. And therefore it got the name the Malta Conferences, because the first two conferences were in Malta, and then we came back every time back to Malta. So this is how these conferences started. And we had already 10 conferences, and now will be the 11th one. And there are a lot of obstacles in organizing a conference like that. First, we have to raise all the money to support all the people, and raising money for peace purposes is very hard. There is billions of dollars for weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Only a
Right.
small portion of that would go a long way to achieve peace. But to raise the money is a very, very hard task. The other tough challenge is to get a country that will be willing to issue a visa to all the participants. This is not an easy task either, because there is almost no country like that in the world that is ready to issue a visa to all this group, and to facilitate the collaboration across borders that are being formed. The visa is one of the toughest issues, because Malta, the first two conferences happened before Malta joined the European Union. So it was very easy to get a visa for everybody upon landing. But then they joined the European Union, and then you need what is called a Schengen visa, and this is hell to get. So there is a huge chapter in my book that I titled From Mission Possible to Mission From Mission Impossible to Mission Possible. And it shows how in every Malta, all the obstacles of getting the visa, and how till the last day the country said, no, we cannot issue, and how in the last minute everybody gets a visa. But it shows all the methods and the ingenuity, and almost like 007 working in order to be able to get a visa for the whole group. And people put pressure on me to write a book about that, what was very interesting to a lot of people. So at the end, I got a ghostwriter, and I dictated the whole book, and I wanted to make sure that the book is not more than 200 pages because
Okay.
people don't have patience to read these days. But meanwhile, a lot of people read it. You can see the reviews on Amazon's, and people said they could not put it down after starting reading it.
Uh-huh.
And I would like as many people to be as possible to be able to read it because there is a message that everybody can
Mhm.
relate to. In addition, with that, you are contributing to peace in the Middle East because all the proceeds are going towards the Malta Conferences.
Yeah.
So this is, in a nutshell, my activities. Each subject I can talk for several hours. I gave thousands of lectures around the world only on education.
The one of the things you were talking about was the different way of learning. I I went to school for science, and I was terrible at chemistry. Fine with biology, fine with the earth sciences. And I you were making me think about some of my favorite memories and projects that I had worked on. And we had a class, my favorite biology class was discussion based. And we did have to present once or twice a semester. There was no exam, everything was um, based off of participation. And I took more from that class than I did on any of the other classes I took because I was more actively engaged in the material instead of, okay, let's just study to pass this test, and then it leaves your head when you're learning the material that way. And then it made me think of my chemistry classes. I'm like, we had no fun. We had nothing unique in those classes, and I do wonder if we had introduced different ways of learning into those courses, if I would have done better in them.
No doubt, no
Right.
doubt that you would be. I by myself did not like chemistry in high school because
Mhm.
I didn't have a good teacher and I did
Right.
not like it. Which school did you go to?
I took chemistry at University of Northern Iowa here in
Oh,
Iowa. Or yeah. Yep.
and I did not like it either. And
Hmm.
you know, the members of my subcommittee on scientific freedom and human rights were Professor Tom Spiro, that was the chair of chemistry at Princeton,
Hmm.
and Professor Jack Shiner, that was the chair of chemistry at Indiana University. One is a fancy Ivy League private school, and one is a Big Ten state school.
Okay.
And my idea was in Princeton, for non-science majors, by that period, they could take psychology as their requirement for science.
Oh.
And with all my respect to psychology, I did not feel it's a hard science that
Hmm.
they really should be taking. So I suggested to my two colleagues that were in my committee on scientific freedom and human rights that we should develop a course, the same course in the three institutions,
Hmm.
Princeton, Indiana University, and Columbia College, that was open admission art
Yeah.
and communication school. And we will develop it with my methods of teaching for non-science majors. In this way, we will attract non-science majors to take a chemistry class. And we
Okay.
titled the class From Ozone to Oil Spill, Chemistry, the Environment, and You. And I came and did workshops so they will know to use my methods in their classes.
Hmm.
And in order to prove that it's the same class all over. First, we applied to the National Science Foundation for a grant, and the National Science Foundation was so impressed with the project that they gave us a grant, and they called our project the flagship project of NSF. And since then, they started having money for big consortium because they thought that variety of institutions working together is a great idea. So we started this trend, and they called it the flagship project. But in order to prove that my inner city open admission school students that never was on a plane before can fly to be with Princeton students all day in a joint symposium. So every year my class flew to Princeton. And we spent a whole day symposium where the students from both sides showed their knowledge through different projects.
Okay.
The media covered it. The whole media from the neighborhood was coming, and they called it a meeting of two cultures. And they really covered it heavily because it was a phenomenon to bring two schools like that together. And it was proven unbelievable. My students were really second to none, and it gave them suddenly a new perspective. They went to look if they can go for graduate school to Princeton, and it became, but as I told you, that we had a special president by the name of Mike Alexandrov. Mike said to me, "You are taking your student to Princeton. You're going Sunday. The symposium is Monday. I want them to have more experiences that they never had before. So I want you to take the class, and I'll pay for that, to a Broadway matinee, so they will see what is Broadway that they hear about.
Yeah.
And many of them are theater students, so they will enjoy that. And then take them to a nice restaurant for dinner in Manhattan before you continue to Princeton." This is when you have a president with a vision that could bring up a school. But sadly, nobody lives forever. And all that disappeared now, but it was unbelievable to have such a visionary president. And I remember that one of the classes, the play we saw on Broadway, was Five Men Named Mo, and it was their last performance. And then they said, if there is anybody in the audience that would love to come on stage to sing with us and dance with us, we will be very happy to incorporate them. Sure enough, my students are on the stage dancing and singing with this group. And what an experience to be with the five men named Mo, and they are performing together with them. So those are the experiences that the students got in addition to have an experience to be in a symposium together with Princeton students. And this was a model of a college of the future. But sadly, it's not there anymore. The Science Institute was closed. Other institutes that were very creative are closed, and it changed.
Yeah. I bet that was an amazing experience.
Oh, it was. It was wonderful, wonderful. And the people that he managed to surround himself that were teaching there. Gwendolyn Brooks taught, she's a very famous poet. She taught poetry there. Very famous people from television and journalism taught there. It was a very, very creative way that he built this college.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about one of my sponsors real quick. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Yeah. All right. I do have some questions. I'm going to try and pick something that is similar to what we've been talking about. Well, actually, so I do have a question. What is it like getting scientists from conflicting countries to sit at the same table, which you did mention a little bit? Just getting the people there physically is quite the challenge. Do you see that most of the time people are willing to talk, or the
Let me
opposite?
tell you, you're talking about people, but these people have something in common. They are scientists.
Okay.
And science is very international.
Mhm.
We call it science diplomacy, what we are doing. So science diplomacy doesn't see culture, doesn't see religion, doesn't see language. It's international. I always love to say that a chemist from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and a chemist from Bethlehem in the West Bank could communicate their chemistry research to each other without having to speak, even if they don't have a language to speak to each other. So it's not just people, it's people that already have something in common that is international. In addition, scientists have very different status in most countries than any other profession. Only in the US they are not respected, but in any other country they are extremely respected. And a lot of governments can really not do things that they want to do without scientists. Sadly enough, even building weapon mass destruction, you need scientists.
Yes.
So science is something that can prolong life, but science is something that can cut life very short. And therefore, scientists have the responsibility to work towards peace. So first they have something already in common before they see. Yes, the first day in 2003 was very interesting. Every group from every country was standing separate. We have 15 separate groups standing, and then we had dinner. Everybody sat separately. And I walked around and talked to the people and tried to tell them that they should mingle, that they are very important scientists. And for sure, the Nobel laureates are a very big attraction to every scientist. So scientists wanted to sit with the Nobel laureates, so they had to move from their table. Everybody is equal in the Malta Conferences. So even the graduate school student, we want young people so it will continue, they can sit next to a Nobel laureate at lunch. So at the end of the conference, that is 5 days, you have a feeling that a family reunion ended. People hug it out there. People have tears saying goodbye. You don't see even who belongs to which country. Everybody says goodbye with hugging to each other. I even was afraid last time that I'll get COVID because I'm still afraid of being too close to people. And
Right.
here so many people hug you and kiss you. But
Yeah.
it's like a family reunion ended. But for sure, the first day was very, very strange. But I managed to
Yeah.
break the ice very, very fast with few
Yeah.
jokes and few that, and putting my arm around people from different countries. So
Yeah.
the ice breaks soon, and then everybody has the same interest in science, and we have social events that are very important because this is where friendships that overcome chasms of distrust and intolerance can be formed. So people that were there, like reporters from Nature magazine, that is one of the is the most famous magazine in science.
Yeah.
They just cannot believe that they said you can hear and hear and hear about it, but till you see it with your eyes, it's completely different
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah,
But
completely different experience. And the scientists, the Palestinian scientists, come both from the West Bank and Gaza.
hmm this is a little bit unrelated, but earlier you were talking about scientists and working with weapons, and it made me think of um, the bombing of Iran, and the goal was to take out the scientists that were building the nuclear weapons, and
That was
it,
not the goal. The goal was to take out the nuclear weapons that threatens the world. The goal
uh-huh.
was not to take the
Or
to get
yeah,
out to destroy the facilities that
yeah,
can build
yeah. It's
nuclear.
it's I don't think people realize though that there is a danger in science too, to almost having that knowledge, with with what you were talking about earlier. And in the military uses science.
Everybody uses science.
Right. I don't think that people
There is
always
nothing
realize that.
without science. We could not be on Zoom without science. Everything
Mm,
is based on science and technology. Science is the research that brings
yeah,
to the technology that everybody can use.
yeah.
You know, the nuclear bomb, the atom bomb,
hmm
really was built on a principle that Albert Einstein wrote in 1905, a very simple equation, E equal mc squared.
hmm
And all the fission reaction that is causing the atom bomb, when the uranium atom is broken, there is fission. It's
hmm
all based on E equal mc squared. So everything you see, all our technology, everything is based on the research in science.
hmm
You wouldn't have an iPhone without all the research in science.
Right. Right. How do you stay hopeful in the face of conflict and setbacks?
I must stay hopeful because if you don't stay hopeful, you give the world to fall apart
hmm
and disappear. You must stay hopeful. You must do what you can in order to bring peace. I don't think that harassment in demonstrations on campuses will bring peace any part of the world between Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Gaza. I
hmm
think it's just preaching violence to the people that are looking for outlet to be violent. This doesn't bring peace.
hmm
Bringing people together This will bring peace to the world. And the point is, as I said, we have to raise the money. If one of the multi-billionaires that are around, and they probably don't listen to your podcast,
No.
but if any of them by mistake would have listened to your podcast, for them to support the Malta Conference would be change money. And if they could sponsor it and give more money, we could have it more often. Then more people will be in the network. And the same as in order to have an atom bomb, you need what is called critical mass of uranium to start a chain reaction. What does it mean, critical mass? It's amount of matter of uranium, certain ounces of uranium that can start the reaction. If it's below that, you cannot start it. So the amount that you need to start it, it's called critical mass. I want to form a critical mass of scientists that will be able to start a chain reaction for peace. And for one person, it's change money what it costs. Change money. I'm sure they spend in 1 week more than in restaurants more than a conference like that cost. But if they would donate to peace, then we could involve many, many more people. And there is nothing more important is for people to realize that they are not enemies for each other. They are friends. They are not enemies. They have a lot more in common than separate. It's the governments that start all these wars. And therefore, I'm very disappointed that instead for the universities to try to have symposiums, conferences, workshops, bringing people with different ideas together, they suppose this crazy demonstration that just show how badly they teach. Because when you ask those students at Columbia University, you say from the river to the sea, what sea? And so many answer the Black Sea, and the river is the Gaza River. For what do parents pay $80,000?
Right.
I always told my students that first in my class you will learn critical thinking. I don't want you ever to be a follower.
Right.
So you will have critical thinking that you will know what somebody tells you. And then I don't care which side of demonstration you will take. All the time it will be from a knowledgeable, intelligent point of view, and not that you stand there and scream from the river to the sea and you don't have any idea what river and what sea.
Right.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for a university like Columbia that their students lack critical thinking, that before they scream something, they don't even ask what they are going to scream. It's a very, very poor testimony to the teaching.
Yeah.
It
I've
would
noticed.
not happen to a student of mine, I can promise you. Because I taught them. I took students to demonstration, but they knew why they go to demonstration. You could ask them questions. They would answer in a very intelligent way.
Yes. And that is what I have noticed. If you do go to some of these demonstrations on campus, you ask them, what are you here for? What is your message? And they really can't tell you anything aside from the lines that they're screaming. And not only, as you said, are they making themselves look stupid, they're also making victims out of innocent people. They're making it a a dangerous or uncomfortable area for other students that have nothing to do with what they're screaming about in the first place.
Exactly. They
they're
are American citizens that go to an American university. What do they have to do with conflict that is far away from them?
Right. They're making no change. And if there is change, it's a negative change on campus. And that's all it is.
This is why
So,
these universities have to pay now a huge fine to the government, and why their presidents had to resign.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a good thing that they resigned. Maybe there will be a president that will tell their faculty, please teach the students to think, to critical think, and
Yeah.
to if they don't want to open a book, damn it, Google and find out the name of a sea and the name of a river. Even that they did not tell the students. And the administration was involved in all that at Columbia, and they did not tell the student what river and what sea.
Yeah.
And shows you the lack of curiosity of the students that they
Yes.
produced, that they did not have the curiosity to know what they are screaming.
Right.
This is a horrible testimony for one of the best and most expensive universities in the U.S.
Yeah.
Students that went to open admission would never be caught in a situation like that.
Right. Well, so I feel that the shift started happening while I was in college, from 2017 to 2020. It seemed to change very quickly, and it's giving universities a bad name, and now it's almost like people don't respect those who are seeking a higher education because college isn't the way it used to be. So I really hope that something happens to turn it back to more of like what you spoke about, where,
Correct. Give knowledge and give logic and critical thinking. For that, the parents pay you $90,000 a year. But don't release hundreds of students that scream without understanding what they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to one student, it was NYU really, and that participated. And I said to her, there is a demonstration calling for destruction of the state of Israel. Are you joining this demonstration? And she said to me, for sure, no. And I said, what do you mean for sure, no? But every day you join one like that. She said, no, I never joined. I said, what do you think from the river to the sea means? This means destruction of Israel. Israel is from the river to the sea. You want them out of there. She was in a stage of shock.
I can't imagine. That's, yeah.
They did not even connect with what they are saying.
Right. It makes you wonder why. I don't know why they're doing it in the first place. I guess
somebody initiates it, and badly, as I used to tell my students, never be followers. But nobody invested so much time in order to tell the students and teach them not just to follow.
Yeah.
Human beings are like sheep. They will follow. They are followers. There is no much difference. It's like sheep. And it's in fashion. Oh, I'm joining. It's great.
Right.
We got tent. We have encampment. Yeah, how come that all the tent all over the U.S. from the East Coast to the West Coast are the same?
Yeah.
This means that students brought tents, or some body that wants to see the encampment bought all the things and brought it
Yes.
to the university.
Yes.
And it shows you it's not a smart person or organization, because at least they should have the brain not to send the same
Right.
kind of and the same tent
Yeah.
all over the country that took a minute for everybody to figure out that it's funded by someone.
Right. Right.
Same
Yeah.
tent in Berkeley and at Columbia, exactly
Yeah.
same tent.
Oh my goodness.
They're very sad that
Yeah.
the students don't use their brain at all.
Right. But
They don't understand it,
Mhm.
If parents send their students to Columbia, they can afford a big amount of money. This student probably before that spend their time from one sport game to the other, organized by the mother in the SUV till they went to college, and never had a chance to think.
Right.
Never had a
Yeah.
chance. The thinking was done by somebody else. Everything organized.
Yeah. How do you think we can bring change to that?
Too ingrained in the US. We can bring change only if we really, really pay attention to our education from K to 12.
Okay.
If we can improve education like it was many, many years ago, that the great people had chosen to be teachers, and they knew how to teach, and they were intelligent, and they taught students to think, and they taught students geography. Students in the US don't study geography.
No.
They don't have any idea about geography. So this is where the problem, and it's going on like that for too many years. And I don't see anybody coming and say education is important, and this will, like in Switzerland, that education is number one because everybody understands it's their own children. So the rich pick up private schools, and their kids are not in the public schools. But all the rest of the population, even where I live, you cannot teach in high school without a master degree or a PhD. At least a master, but prefers PhD.
Yeah.
But I got money from the National Science Foundation to work with teachers in the Chicago public school, and there were teachers that taught science that all what they by themselves had is 2 classes of science as undergraduate. And they had only a bachelor degree with a major in music, and they could have been science teachers.
Right.
So this is the problem. Therefore,
Yeah.
I call science education a human right.
Yeah. Do you think that if the Department of Education is abolished, or they take education back to the states, a lot of states are doing school choice, do you think any of those are good moves?
The education never was taken out of the states. Education always was in the hands of the states. So the Department of Education could not really influence much.
Okay.
No, education is not only states, it's even more locally than states. Every city has their own curriculum. There is nothing. Other countries have national curriculum. The US doesn't have something like that. So, to be honest, President Carter started the Department of Education, but I never understood their function if education is in the hands of the states. So I don't think there will be much change by eliminating it, the Department of Education. I think cutting money from the National Science Foundation or NIH, the National Institute of Health, is a disaster.
Mhm.
And this will affect science in the US for many years if somebody will not wake up very fast and will install all these monies back. I
Right.
think this is the disaster, but not the elimination of the Department of Education.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That I, I'm surprised we don't have a national curriculum, but
Oh,
it's
country still works very separately by states, and the
hmm
curriculum is so different.
yeah.
Things that can be taught in a blue state cannot be taught in a red state.
Right.
I remember how much we fought that evolution should be taught in all the states.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
it will be very hard to. The division is too strong in the U.S. to be able to do a national curriculum. But
Okay.
if you have NSF, National Science Foundation, that they are responsible of the grants for education, like
Okay.
they help a lot to raise the education. NIH is all our health depends on that they cut the money for cancer research, for vaccines.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
our life. What are we going to be like Africa?
Right.
I
Yeah.
cannot understand the rationale behind that.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure. Some of it I
We
understand. Some of
might
it's
lose
just
our
not.
best scientists because scientists
Right.
need money to do a science, and a lot of other countries pour a fortune into research.
Right. Right. And that's where you're going to go, where you're able to do the
To do
research that you're
research.
wanting to do. Yeah. Would you like to show us your book again?
Yes, here is the
Yes.
book, and the book is now in paperback. On Amazon, I'm sure on everything, Barnes and Noble, online, and paperback is much cheaper. And if you read the reviews on Amazon, you will see why it's important for
Yeah.
everybody to read this book. A lot of messages, and you can see what one woman can make changes in the world, and you can be the same,
Yeah.
especially young people. It doesn't have to be a woman. A man can make a change too, and to the
Right.
better.
Right.
So this is the book. And if people want to see, for example, videos about how to use a theater or dance to teach science, my personal website is zafralerman.com.
Okay.
If you want to know
Sounds good.
more about the Malta Conference, the
Yeah.
website is Malta Conferences Foundation.org.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like people to check out or maybe look into as far as science education and keeping that alive?
We have a YouTube that has all the videos
Okay.
that the student produced, both in music and art and dance and animation. And this is Lerman Institute YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, you can look for that too.
All right. I will post those links so that everyone can just
Okay.
click on them. So, all right. Sounds good.
Very nice talking to you.
You
Good,
too.
good luck.
Yes. Thank you.